Alright, well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome from the Brighton Pavilion. I'm at the rear of the building. As you can maybe tell or not, it's quite busy. Maybe you can hear talking and stuff in the background. People are flocking past me around all the pathways that's in the back sort of gardens area, if you like. I'll take a quick 180 degrees so you can got a bit of an impression of what's going on here. So these are the gardens at the back of the pavilion. That's the Brighton Museum and Art Gallery there, which is under repair, as it were. And I mean, look, I could start by talking about that, but I'm not going to, because I want to just show you.
And how did that even so?
Basically the pavilion, and give it a once over, if you like, walk around it and just have a quick chat about it, but just basically capture it on my phone really while I'm here before I go back. So interestingly, part of the rhetoric, which I find absolutely mind-boggling, if I'm totally honest, is that the Indian style of the Royal Pavilion was a novelty. Okay, fine, but these elements were based on prints and watercolours, right? They were based on prints and watercolours of Indian buildings, used with wild abandon for picturesque effect and in combinations unknown in India. We can interpret that how we want. So it's clearly something stylistically, at least, that you will sort of connect with the Indian subcontinent, but many elements that have nothing to do with that part of the world at all, which is also quite interesting, because of course the mainstream connection is that this house, this building, this complex, if you like, was intrinsically connected with Victoria and Albert. Well, it was, to a degree, because they sold it in 1850. Right, basically, which is also quite interesting. But work started on this in 1815, allegedly, 1-5. So, you know, if we take that into historical consideration.
Yeah, I'm walking to this point so you know where you're going.
Yeah, I do. The country was broke. Napoleonic wars, according to the history books, were in full flow / coming to end and whatnot. You know, Britain was colonising 2/3 of the world, had armies all over the place, were building majestic constructions made of bricks here, there and literally everywhere, be it Australia, be it North America, be it in 2/3 of Africa, be it in the Indian subcontinent, you know, take your pick. But yet they had the money and the time to knock up one of these. I'm going to walk a little around here and just let the pictures do the talking, because there's not much to break down. You know, you're going to have an official narrative, and all you can do is sort of go by that. And even that narrative, even the officialdom within official circles, isn't necessarily accurate. You know what I mean? I don't believe that anything around 1815 is very accurate. I think that is right at the beginning of when the restoration of reclaimed properties and buildings began, basically. Let's zoom into this here. I mean, I've got to say, it reminds me a little bit of what we're told about the World's Fairs buildings, you know, when they talk about how they were made of temporary materials, or most of them were. A few of them were made of real stone and rock, but most of them were made of temporary materials so that they could destroy them after the World's Fairs, right? That's the official story, isn't it? If you look up all the different World's Fairs from 1851 onwards. So you had your first one, known as the Crystal Palace one in London, but then after that you had a whole load in North America and all the rest of it, Paris of course, and all that sort of stuff. Well, I would suggest this is what these buildings kind of look like, and trust me, this thing here is made of solid stone and rock, right? A lot of work went into this. I mean, it's so complex, not just the ornamentation, but you know, the building itself. If you take a closer look, here we go. Here, for example, clear evidence, obviously, that that building goes deep into the ground. Doesn't surprise me at all. And you can see that all over here with those grids and prism blocks that let the light into basement rooms, because under those grids will be a window in the wall, right, below ground surface, which of course makes absolutely no sense when you're building a building. I know people do that today a little bit, but it wasn't the way you would build buildings classically. You would start on ground level and work upwards. You might have a basement, but you wouldn't have windows in your walls in that basement. Certainly not in the day when you didn't really have the tools and the technology to, you know, be mega flexible with your building and everything else. It was more than practically and purposefully built. Although, looking, you know, we talk about practically and purposely built, you know, the attention to detail on all older buildings way supersedes anything we knock up and build today, doesn't it? I mean, I know this is done in a particular style, but again, who did this? The Victorians restored it, just like all the other old buildings, but who actually built it? I have no idea. A very select few will know the answer to that, I'm pretty sure. But again, you know, all over this building, quite incredible. I was talking to the owner of the hotel where I live, and he was telling me that all repair work that was done to this at all over decades, all the money had to be raised. The funds had to be raised through charity events and, you know, public initiatives and this, that and the other. There's a big church just up the road on the way to the Phoenix Art Space called St. Peter's, and that's got scaffolding on the front half of it. And he was telling me that scaffolding's been there for nigh on 10 years. He said they've been struggling so much with the funding. They even had to get funding to take scaffolding off and dismantle the scaffolding at a cost, right? So it's, you know, funding seems to be such a huge issue with so many things, and you're thinking to yourself, well, of course that's nonsense as well, really. The powers that are, you know, they could easily see to it that these things get looked after, maintained and kept in good order. It's not a problem. Money, finances is definitely not an issue, really, unless you're leaving it to the public on ground level who, you know, who are controlled by the financial system directly, who it affects, you know what I mean? Then yes, then it becomes an issue. So I'm going to have a little walk around here, you know, and then show you the front, and then we'll call that a day. But just so that you get a bit of a picture of how this complex looks. So here's a load of coffee rooms and Italian restaurants, for example. But everywhere you look, there are old buildings like the one we're approaching on the other side of the street there, that corner building. You see them everywhere in Brighton, literally everywhere. Curved, turreted, cornered buildings all over the place. Curved frontal facades. This, everywhere you look. I mean, everywhere you look, quite literally. You know, we're literally walking on raised ground, you know. And then you have buildings like this, right? You stand here and you take a look at this building here. That's your entrance. It's been turned into an entrance, but of course that next to it tells you straight away that that isn't really the ground level. People walk over it and don't even notice. All along here. A bit noisy next to that bus. Apologies for that. But I just want to get around to the other side and I may as well just continue filming. Why not? So I've decided I'm going to return back to Bournemouth this evening rather than wait another day. Natalie's awfully busy. There aren't really many opportunities to have a nice conversation with her about a few things that I wanted to do really, but that's not a problem. She's busy and I'm glad that she is, because that's the whole purpose of her doing what she's doing, is to showcase her art and have people come along and you know, show an interest in it, etc. So she's kindly said, you know, that I'm more than welcome to pop down any time away from you know, exhibition events and stuff, and then we can have a chat about a couple of things that I wanted to ask her, because I'd like a piece painted by her. I guess you'd call that commission. Yeah, this is quite interesting. This signifies the Prince of Wales, and my father used to serve in a regiment called the 3rd Royal Carbineers, and this was their badge. And Ich dien, ironically, in German means the same thing, which means I serve. And those are the 3 plumes. They were the emblem for the 3rd Royal Carbineers that joined up with the Royal Scots Greys to form a regiment today known as the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards, part of the 7th Armoured Brigade, or Desert Rats as they're commonly known. But this was the Carbineers badge, and you'll see that the Prince of Wales, whoever holds that post, will have this emblem on wherever they wear it on their uniform. The 3 plumes. There we go, a little bit of royal information there that you pick up when you grow up in the military, and your dad spent a lot of time cleaning uniforms and stuff and preparing for parades and things like that. There's a lot of those little things that you learn about. But anyway, I digress. So we'll go one more time round this corner, because you can't get through there, it was cordoned off. If this video cuts out suddenly, then I'll already say apologies for that.
Okay, perfect.
But I hope I'll be able to get another few minutes in. I should be able to. Lovely water fountain there in the background. The sea is over there, a straight line about a couple hundred yards away, and the pavilion is down here. You just got to go round the block.
Ready to go.
Yeah, so do excuse it, but I guess it's a bit better than just stopping and starting. And there we have it in all its splendour. I mean, it looks absolutely sensational, doesn't it? It is a spectacular building, very, very unusual. There's no doubt about that. And of course, you know, in terms of official history and official narrative, it's very easy to connect that up with some sort of colonial backstory of an Indian, you know, flavour, obviously. And then, you know, with the UK, that's very easily done, because the UK, of course, historically, officially has that colonial connection to India and regions that used to be all one India that are now Pakistan and Bangladesh and Sri Lanka and all that, all those nations. And of course, you know, those people do exist and stuff. You know, plenty of people of that origin and heritage that live in the UK. I have friends myself from those regions. That's not my issue. You know, we have people from many regions. That doesn't mean to say that their regional backstories are accurate or that they're not made up, right? Because ours most certainly are. So why wouldn't everybody else's? Anyway, this will be my final shot of this building, because you can't really get up close. That's all cordoned off. I think they're preparing for some sort of gig and concert over there. There are kids and stuff over at the corner there. If I lift that up, maybe you can see that. There you go. But I thought I would do a quick sort of once round video of the Royal Pavilion while I'm here. Would have been remiss of me not to, and I'm glad I have. A beautiful building, but of course I don't believe a word of the official historical information, and that's just based on experience I've gathered through a few years of research in this topic now. Anyway, so on that note, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous day, not too boiling hot. I'm glad I came to Brighton, I have to say, I really am. I've been here a few times before in the past, but never for that long. This time I decided to come for a couple of days and sort of literally, you know, walk around and take a good close look at some buildings. I mean, initially the main reason why I came down, of course, I shouldn't forget to say, is for the exhibition at the Phoenix Art Space. But I also was aware that I can couple that up with having a little look at the town and stuff like that. And I have to say my impressions of Brighton are overwhelmingly positive. There's a vibrancy about this town that you don't get in Bournemouth. But then again, ironically, when I spoke to the manager of my hotel again, right, we had a conversation earlier, he was saying him and his partner like to go to Bournemouth, ironically enough. So it's funny, isn't it? I guess it's what you don't have is where you want to go, isn't it? And, you know, but yeah, I like this place. I'll be sure to be coming back here again at some point, definitely. I'd like to very much. Yeah, I haven't seen everything I wanted to see, but that's not a problem. It gives me a reason to come back, doesn't it? Okay, well, so on that note, as I've already said before, here's me signing off from a very sunny Brighton on the south coast of England on Saturday the 17th of May. I bid you all farewell, and I'll see you soon, some of you much, much sooner. Until then, take it easy, adios, and ta-ta for now.